What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports and the Phillies doubleheader. The very long day of Phillies baseball is over. They split the doubleheader with the San Diego Padres, and in turn, they do win 2 of 3 in this series against the San Diego Padres. So they, in fact, win the series. So that is, 2 series wins in a row, 3 series wins in your last 4, and it's basically the same type of summary that you get through most Phillies wins, is that the starting pitching absolutely dominated in the 2 wins in this series, obviously with Zach Wheeler on Monday night, and then with Cristopher Sanchez in Game 2 of the doubleheader. Mick Abel is a whole different story. Holy fucking shit, we'll get to that, because he was... Yikes. Yikes. Ooh, put that in the title. Yikes, because it's not good. But you do win a series. There was a fight back in Game 1 of the doubleheader. You did, in theory, have the winning run at home plate with Kyle Schwarber in the bottom of the 9th, with Brandon Marsh on third base and Trey Turner on first base, and you were lucky to even get into that position because of Brandon Marsh's very stupid base running, and he got very lucky that a call at third base, which was originally an out call, got overturned by the umpire, the Phillies challenging it, and the umpires in New York overturning the call, because, oh boy, that was very stupid. You don't want to make the final out at third base in any inning. Any inning. You don't want to make the final out at third base. That's one of the many places you don't want to make the final out at. And Brandon Marsh was basically this close to doing it. I have no idea how Machado missed the tag. I was like, oh my god, he's gunned out by a mile. But then when you look at the replay, it's like, holy shit, did he actually miss it? Now that's... not trying to praise Brandon Marsh in that factor, because that was dumb. That was the dumbest thing I've seen in my goddamn life. The single up the middle, yeah, it dies in the outfield. Brandon Marsh, yeah, you want to be aggressive. You shouldn't be aggressive in that situation. You're fast enough to score on a single from second base. And plus, you don't want to take the bat out of the hands of Kyle Schwarber, who can easily walk you off and hit a walk-off bomb to win the Phillies the game. You don't want to take that situation out of Kyle Schwarber's hands. And you almost did. And Kyle Schwarber did get the bat, and he struck out on a very high pitch. Swung at a very bad pitch. Oh. So sadly, that was not the case for the Phillies to be able to come back into that game and win the game. So they lose the first game by a score of 6-2. Game 2, Cristopher Sanchez, like I said, he was very good. Max Kepler hit a very towering home run. Brandon Marsh had a very deep home run to center field. They tack on a couple of more runs, and they probably could have scored more in this game. Granted, runners in scoring position situations, Phillies still can't really string together hits that consistently, but your pitching was very good. You scored enough runs. The Padres realistically did not look good in these 2 games. Personally, in my opinion, Mick Abel was the real reason why they scored so many runs in Game 1. Realistically, the Padres didn't have to swing a bat in Game 1, and they scored so many. That's how bad Mick Abel was. That's just a fact. And really, let's just go to Game 1, because it was just that bad of a performance by Mick Abel. It was just bad. It was so bad. It's probably his worst. Honestly, do you consider this game worse from Mick Abel, or do you consider the 4 home runs that he gave up against the New York Mets? Bottom line is, every time he has gone up against a good team in Major League Baseball, he has struggled. He struggled against the Chicago Cubs, and granted, he found a way to minimize the damage in that. Still didn't go deep into the game, still struggled. He minimized the damage, but still wasn't good enough. Against the Mets, atrocious, allowing home runs and solo shots left and right, was not able to go deep into the game. I guess realistically, you could say this is probably Mick Abel's worst start. He didn't even get by 2 innings. He could not find the strike zone in that second inning. He got by the first inning clean, but then once, I believe he got 2 outs in the top of the second inning, he just could not find the strike zone. He's walking guys left and right, walk, 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 walk. He walks in 2 runs, and then he allows a bases clearing double for Manny Machado to make it 5-0 Padres. Walk, 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 walk. And then the Phillies go to the bullpen basically for the rest of the game. And granted, I guess you could say they saved their main arms from the bullpen. They used Lazar for an inning and 2/3. He did end up allowing 1 run, but it was definitely way better of a look than what Mick Abel was doing. Taijuan Walker came in. He pitched 2 2/3 innings, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. He was getting quick outs. Seth Johnson pitched 2 innings. There was intriguing stuff by Seth Johnson there. He had 2 strikeouts. On one of those was a very nasty curveball. And then for the final inning, it was Robert out of the bullpen. He pitched he had a walk in the top of the 9th inning, but relatively, the guys that came out of the bullpen, they still kept you involved in the game. Mick Abel was just that bad. Mick Abel was probably the primary reason why you lost game 1 against San Diego. You had 12 hits on the day, and basically just going through over the entire contest. So going into where, realistically, a lot of the game just broke open for the Padres. You go bottom of the first, Trey Turner led off with a single, but then Trey Turner got picked off at first base trying to steal second base, so that sucked. Bryce Harper in the lineup, he did get a single in the first inning, nothing happened there. Then you go to this top of the second inning. So Sheets leads off with a strikeout, Bogarts then walks, Cronenworth singles, then Brooks flies out, so you got 2 outs there, first and second for Diaz. He walks, I believe, after Mick Abel went up 0-2 in the count. Mick Abel does not have out pitches. That's one of the main common themes that I'm seeing from Mick Abel as well. Tatis then walked with the bases loaded to bring home the first run. Merrill then walked to bring home the second run. Also, Abel was up. Well, not up in the count. He was 2-2 in the count and then lost him. So it's a 2-0 Padres lead there. And then in the Manny Machado at bat, Mick Abel goes up 0-2 on a couple of foul balls, and then he leaves one over the middle of the plate, and Manny Machado lines it down the left field line for a bases clearing double to put the Padres up 5-0. Then Lazar comes into the ball game. Offense against Nick Pivetta really did not do much besides a Kyle Schwarber solo shot. In the top of the 4th inning, Arias walked in a run. That was another bases-loaded situation for the Padres, so another bases-loaded walk. So that was very annoying. Bottom of the 6th inning, that's when Schwarber finally got a run on the board against fucking Nick Pivetta, out of all people. Then the Padres eventually went to the bullpen. Bottom 7th inning, JT Realmuto led off with a double. Stott advanced him over on a ground out to third base. Edmundo Sosa then tripled, scored JT Realmuto, and then Sosa scored on a wild pitch to make it 6-3 Padres. Then Rojas struck out, Turner walked, nothing really happened there. Bottom 8, Phillies go down 1-2-3. Bottom 9, this is where the Phillies sort of fight back. JT Realmuto with a leadoff single, but then it's kind of like Stott pops up when he's up 2-0 in the count, which was very annoying. Sosa grounds out, keeps JT over at second, or he advances JT to second base because it was a weak ground ball. Then Marsh comes in to pinch it for Johan Rojas. First pitch swinging, singles up the middle, makes it a 6-4 game. Then Trey Turner, the second pitch he sees in his at bat, he loops a single in the center field. Merrill coming at it fast, plays the ball. Marsh, being very aggressive on the base paths, tries to take third base, and it looked like he was gunned out by a mile, which was clearly obvious that it just looked like that, and you think the game's over. But Phillies do challenge, and somehow Manny Machado missed the tag at third base. I don't understand how he missed it, but still, that's not giving anything away from Brandon Marsh, because that was so stupid. That was the dumbest thing in the world, because you almost took the bat out of Kyle Schwarber's hands with a chance to basically walk the game off or even tie the ball game off, because Kyle Schwarber can make a difference with one swing of the bat. We all know this. But then Kyle Schwarber up in the at bat against Robert Suarez didn't look the best. He struck out on a fastball that was basically at his head. So not the best at bat from Kyle Schwarber. You did fight back. It was realistically just Mick Abel that was the main reason why you lost the game. But you did get a lot of hits in this game. Didn't really register that much with runners in scoring position. Mick Abel was just that bad. He was just that bad. Lineup-wise, from the first game of the doubleheader, Trey Turner, he went 2 for 4 with a walk. Kyle Schwarber 1 for 5 with the solo shot. Bryce Harper 1 for 4. Nick Castellanos 0 for 4. Max Kepler, he went 1 for 4. JT Realmuto, he had a good first game. He went 3 for 4 with 2 runs scored. Bryson Stott had an abysmal game, 0 for 4. Edmundo Sosa, 1 for 4 with an RBI. Johan Rojas, 2 for 3. Then Brandon Marsh came in. He went 1 for 1 with the RBI in the 9th inning. Alec Boehm did not play game 1 of the doubleheader. Phillies go 2 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Sosa and Marsh had the lone hits in those appearances. Harper went over 1, Schwarber went over 1, and then Bryson Stott went over 1 in the runners in scoring position situations. So you dropped game 1, which I guess you can say put pressure on Cristopher Sanchez, if you want to put it like that. But Cristopher Sanchez was dominant as always. He was having a lot of quick innings. You were honestly even factoring in possibly having a complete game below 100 pitches. Like, that's how fast he was getting through, like, the first 4 or 5 innings. And then eventually the Padres had some, very annoying at-bats. I think it actually was the top of the 5th inning where they did have, like, their lone dangerous chance at the ball game, and Cristopher Sanchez managed to get out of those situations. But overall, Cristopher Sanchez was just very good. Very, very, very good. I was actually surprised that he didn't come out for the top of the 8th inning. He only finished with 85 pitches, so maybe it was just he threw too many pitches in one inning or something like that. I have no idea. But Cristopher Sanchez's final stat line, 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, again for Cristopher Sanchez, and 5 strikeouts. When he is not walking batters, he is very good. The off-speed stuff was on par today. When he upgrades that velocity with that sinker, it's some pretty nice stuff to watch. It's pretty nice stuff to watch. So, once again, Cristopher Sanchez was very good. Kerkering, he got into some trouble in the top of the 8th, but he managed to escape his own jam. He had 2 nice strikeouts in that situation as well. And then Matt Strahm struck out 2 in the top of the 9th inning to close the game out. And the way that the game went along, the Padres did get on the board first. The Phillies, in the first few innings, they went 1-2-3 in the bottom of the first against Dylan Cease. Bottom of the second inning, they did have a couple of base runners on. Kepler would have went out single. Kemp would have went out single. Kepler moved to third base, but then nothing happened there. Stop popped up, and then Marchand grounded out. Bottom third, Phillies go down 1-2-3. Then you go top 4. Phillies defense kind of manufactured that run for the Padres. Tatis, he reached in on an infield single. And then, Cristopher Sanchez tried to pick off Fernando Tatis, and the throw from Kemp over the second base went into the outfield, which allowed Tatis to go to third base. And then eventually a Merrill single scores Tatis, puts the Padres up 1-0. Bottom of the 4th inning, Kepler with a 2-run shot after Alec Bohm led off with a single. Very towering shot, deep fly ball, puts the Phillies up 2-1. Top 5, this is when the Padres get a little bit of more, people on base. Bogarts with a single. Iglesias reached it on an infield single. So you got first and second with Cronenworth and Maldonado up. Strikes both of them out, Cristopher Sanchez, that is, and he actually got a little bit pumped up after that strikeout to Maldonado. Then you go bottom 5, Brandon Marsh with a leadoff home run to center field. Gives the Phillies a 3-1 lead. Trey Turner with an infield single. Schwarber, he fouls out the third base. Iglesias playing at third base for Manny Machado made the freaking unrealistic catch that I've ever seen in my goddamn life in foul territory. Good on Trey Turner for reading the play and actually tagging up and going to second base on that situation. But Jesus Christ, I was like, what? My jaw dropped. Like, holy fucking shit. You got Merrill with robbing Kepler of a home run in the first game of this series, and then you get that play by fucking Iglesias. Like, what the hell? What the hell? Bohm then lines out. Castellanos then bloops a single to right field, which scores Trey Turner, gives the Phillies a 4-1 lead. Bottom 6, Phillies go down 1-2-3. Bottom 7 is when the Phillies get on another run on the board. Kyle Schwarber got a walk. Then Rojas pinch ran for Kyle Schwarber. And then he stole second base in the Alec Bohm at bat. And then Alec Bohm basically, do you say, nah, he didn't really bloop it. He just shot one down the right field line, just stayed fair. Tatis overran the ball. It goes to the backstop by the warning track, and Alec Bohm actually got a fucking triple. Never thought I would see that in my fucking life. So that scores a run, gives the Phillies a 5-1 lead, and that's basically where the game would go. And that's how it ended. Phillies win 5-1. Lineup-wise, Turner 1 for 4, Schwarber 0 for 3 with a walk. Bohm 2 for 4 with an RBI. Castellanos 1 for 3 with an RBI. Kepler 2 for 4 with a 2-run shot. Kemp, he had a nice game at first base today, 2 hits today. So good there for Otto Kemp. Bryson Stott 1 for 3. Marchand 0 for 3. And Brandon Marsh 1 for 4. Bryce Harper did not play in game 2 of the doubleheader, which is probably not surprising given that they're probably not going to force him to play, with the fucking wrist and all that crap. Still not feeling good about that wrist for Bryce Harper. Just not. And yes, it does make sense why they give him the second game of the doubleheader off. Just don't feel good. I just don't feel good. I just don't feel good about the Bryce Harper wrist situation. Phillies, they go 3 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Castellanos 1 for 1, Kepler 1 for 2, Marsh 0 for 1, Marchand 0 for 1, Bohm 1 for 2, Stott 0 for 1, Rojas 0 for 1. So that's how your game was. You won the series. You're now, 51 and 36 on the season. And in terms of the standings, I think the Mets also had a doubleheader against the Brewers. I think they lost the first game, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not entirely sure. But so far, you're 2.5 games above the New York Mets. And I think they're playing game 2 against the Brewers right now, and they're winning that game currently by a score of 6-3. I think the Mets lost game 1 of that doubleheader, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, they did. They did lose game 1 of that doubleheader. And do they play the Brewers? What was it, a 3-game series against the Brewers or something like that? Yes, they play a game tomorrow against the Brewers. And there was also some news with the Atlanta Braves as well that they lost Schwellenbach with a fractured elbow for, I believe, at least 4 weeks. They're saying they're hopeful he could be back by September. So that is another big blow for the Braves and just a nightmarish season for them. I do think Jerickson Profar is actually coming back to them for the lineup, but realistically, with the playoff aspirations that they probably barely have at this point, he's really not going to help them in that case. Even if they do somehow miraculously make the playoffs, he's not going to be eligible to play the playoffs. Same thing basically with the Jose Alvarado situation. But yeah, that just continues the nightmarish season for the Atlanta Braves, that is. For the Phillies, they have the day off tomorrow, and then they play the Cincinnati Reds this weekend for 4th of July. So if we look at that schedule coming up, just to look at the pitching matchups, like I said, they play at 1 o'clock. Like I said the other day, they play at 1 o'clock on Friday, on 4th of July, which is very weird. Wasn't expecting that whatsoever, but then when I looked at the schedule around like the sports complex area, I think that FIFA Club World Cup that they've been playing down here the past like few weeks, I think they're playing like some type of qualifying match later in the night, so maybe that makes sense of why the game's 1 o'clock. So they don't want to have both Phillies and then soccer fanatics down here for the World Club Cup. So yeah, I definitely understand why it's 1 o'clock now. So that'll be Jesus Luzardo going up against Andrew Abbott, who has been, Jesus Christ, he has been really good for the Reds. Holy shit. 7-1 with a 1.79 ERA. I did not know this guy was pitching that good. Holy shit. Oh my god, I did not know that. I did not know that. Holy hell. 7-1 with a 1.79 ERA. How is he not qualified to have the best ERA in the National League? That is weird. That is crazy. Let's look at his past. So the month of June for him, he had a 2.20 ERA. He was very good in the month of May. He had a .55 ERA after starting the season off in April with a 3.6 ERA. He was very good in May. And then so far his starts in June, 5 innings of 1 earned run ball, 7 innings of 1 earned run ball, 5 2/3 of 1 earned run ball. He allowed 5 runs technically, but 4 of those were unearned. A complete game shutout against the Cleveland Guardians, and then 5 earned runs against the Milwaukee Brewers to start June. So, wow. Wow, I did not expect his ERA to be that good. Holy shit. Holy shit. Was not expecting that. So that'll be who Jesus Luzardo was up against on Friday afternoon. Then on Saturday afternoon, it's Ranger Suarez against Nick Lodolo. 5-5 with a 3.52 ERA, but we know what Nick Lodolo does to this Phillies lineup. He kind of carves them up. And then on Sunday afternoon, it'll be Zach Wheeler against Chase Burns. Chase Burns looks like he was just added to the rotation for the Reds. Yeah, it does look like that. He is 0-1 with a 13.5 ERA. And he's allowed 8 earned runs in his first 2 starts. His first start was against the Yankees, 5 innings, 3 earned runs allowed. And then his last start was June 30th against the Red Sox. He only recorded 1 out and allowed 5 earned runs, 7 runs total. 2 of those were unearned. So, yeah, not the best start to his career. Not the best start. But, in total, hopefully you should win the series. What's the Reds' record on the year? Haven't really been following the Reds. The Reds, they're 44 and 42. Surprisingly, a lot of teams in the NL Central are above 500. That is weird. That is crazy. They're a really good team at home. They're not good on the road. They're a plus 31 run differential. They have lost their last 2 games. They're 5-5 in their last 10. Are the Reds playing currently? I think they. Okay, yeah, they're playing in Boston against the Red Sox. They're winning 5-4 in the top of the 8th. They got bases loaded. So the Reds, they're a mediocre team. They're a around 500 team. So, but the 2 pitchers that you are facing and 2 of the 3 pitchers that you're facing in this series are probably going to dice you up, knowing the Phillies lineup. That's probably just the case there. Hopefully Jesus Luzardo bounces back from his last start against the Braves. Is it just at the point where Jesus Luzardo is a good start, bad start, good start, bad start, good start, bad start? I have no idea. Or it's good start, bad start. Then he faces a very good team and he shuts them down. That's been Jesus Luzardo, basically. So by that theory, he's coming off of a bad start. He probably should have a good start, I would say. Now, the Reds aren't that good of a team. They're borderline 500, but we'll see. Then, like I said, you got Ranger Suarez and Zach Wheeler as well. So, in theory, the pitching matchup probably does favor you, I would say. But I'm not guaranteeing anything with this Phillies team. Not guaranteeing anything. Not whatsoever. What's Ellie De La Cruz doing on the season, actually? I'm actually very curious. What is Ellie doing on the season? What is Ellie De La Cruz doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? He is... If I could find him. Jesus. Can I just click his character, please? Not his character. Click his freaking profile. He is batting .276 on the season with 18 home runs, 57 RBIs, and an 848 OPS. Good for him. Good for him. How old is he? Only 23 years old. So I guess at that rate, he's probably just going to keep getting better, I would assume. Is Hunter Green still pitching for them? Or is he hurt? Is Hunter Green hurt? Not entirely sure. I don't know why I'm going to like this whole thing about the Reds, but I'm just intrigued. Yeah, Hunter Green, he is on, as of July 2nd, he's on the 15-day IL. Yeah, they don't know when he's going to be back. Well, this was like a status update. He is on the 15-day IL with a groin and back injuries, looks like. Threw 1 inning and 20 pitches in live batting practice session on Wednesday, and that is the last update on him. So, yeah, we'll see. We will see. Yeah. And then after the series for the Phillies against the Reds, they play... That's when they go on the road, the West Coast, to play the Giants and the Padres before the All-Star break. And the some of the All-Star starting lineups are actually coming out for the National League, I think. And obviously, none of the Phillies are the starters. That's a definite right there. Realistically, the only chance that a Phillies position player has a chance to get into the All-Star game is if they're a reserve. And I think majority, the only likely person that's going to be is most likely Trey Turner and maybe a Kyle Schwarber for the DH. I think those are the only 2 position players. Granted, Kyle Schwarber is a DH, so the only full-time position player is most likely going to be Trey Turner. That's probably what I would assume. And then majority of the Phillies All-Star representatives are going to be pitching. Whether that most likely it is going to be Zach Wheeler and Ranger Suarez. And then maybe Cristopher Sanchez, if a pitcher chooses not to appear in the All-Star game. Maybe that's where it goes to Sanchez. But he's been pitching so good to where you can like, Jesus Christ, how do we leave him off the All-Star ballot? That's what I would think at that point. But who knows? I'm not the one that's constructing the All-Star team. That's Dave Roberts for the pitching for the Dodgers, for the National League All-Star squad. So he's definitely going to have a choice between the Phillies pitching staff, most likely. Definitely going to be a very tough choice. Rob Thompson says Bryce Harper was available to pinch hit in Game 2 of the doubleheader. Right now, there is no concerns with his wrist, just precautionary. What else is there? What else is there? Don't see anything else. Don't see anything else. No, all I hear is the fireworks so far in the background since yesterday was postponed. They had to move the fireworks to the night part of the doubleheader for today. So, interesting. What did I just scroll by on Twitter? Disgusting behavior. Sicko Padres fan eats a cheesesteak with a fork at Citizens Bank Park. What the fuck? That's what happens when you scroll on Twitter. Holy hell. Holy hell. Holy hell. That is weird. That is weird. But, yeah. It's a good series win by the Phillies. doesn't change my mindset. Matter of the fact, I'm just happy they win series. That's basically it. I enjoy the baseball for the most part. I know last week it's basically the same thing that we say every time, right? It's basically the same thing. Starting staff is very good, besides your fifth starter. So hopefully Aaron Nola can come back and be a resemblance of his former self, the self that I know he can be. Because Mick Abel just ain't it. Will they give Mick Abel one more go at it in the rotation before the All-Star break? Because most likely I think he's scheduled for one more start to the All-Star break. Actually, if I look at the schedule, just to see what the pitching matchups could be. So, obviously we know the pitching matchups. The pitching matchups for, obviously, Cincinnati, it's Luzardo, Ranger Suarez, and Zach Wheeler. Then for San Francisco, it's Cristopher Sanchez, Mick Abel, and then Jesus Luzardo. And then the pitching matchups for San Diego, Ranger Suarez is scheduled to pitch game 1. Then it would be, if the schedule's going right, it would be Zach Wheeler for game 2, and then Cristopher Sanchez for game 3. So there's your theory on the All-Star game. If Cristopher Sanchez pitches in the last game before the All-Star break, he would not be eligible for the All-Star game just because he pitched. Well, he probably will not be sent there just because he pitched so close to the All-Star game. So, yeah, Mick Abel would only have one more start in line going into the All-Star break. So will they give him that start against San Francisco? We'll see. We'll see. But maybe they give him that chance. I don't know. It's just a waiting game. Because obviously Andrew Painter is not ready. That's just clear as day. And besides like an Aaron Nola being healthy, I don't know where else they go. So it's a wait and see process. But anything else that's really newsworthy? Not Phillies wise. Not Phillies wise. But if you're Flyers people, they missed out on Shabanov from the KHL. He signed with the Islanders. And obviously, it's annoyed that he didn't choose the Flyers. But I realistically can't blame the Flyers in this scenario because every team was able to offer him the same exact contract. Well, they were limited to offering him the same exact contract. They could only offer him an entry-level contract. 1 year, $950K. So I guess it just depends on the bonuses and all that stuff. But really wasn't the Flyers a thing they couldn't do more. I was interested in the Shabanov skill. That definitely, just add more skill to the lineup. But yeah, there's definitely concerns about him being, 5'8", 155 pounds. So yeah, there's definitely concerns of whether his game translates over into the NHL because granted, you can get away with a lot more stuff in the KHL than you can in the NHL. So there probably is 100% going to be a long learning curve. Some people just project him to be a third line forward in the NHL just with his size and all that stuff. So I just would have been intrigued by the signing just for his skill because he probably would do a lot of entertaining things. Not necessarily meaning he's going to be a fantastic player and all that stuff. He can always bottom out to be a third liner. You never know. So I realistically can't be pissed at the Flyers for that standpoint. They had no control on who he chose. He was choosing between the Flyers, the Mammoth, the Islanders, and the Rangers, and he chose the Islanders. And I was actually listening to someone, too, that was talking about this, and they know somebody that's very close with the Islanders, and whatever they go with there, that they were saying that Shabanov's first choice was actually the Islanders, and he was just, and that was back in April, and his agent told him to hold on just a little second just because they didn't have any idea what's going on with the Islanders front office. And then they fire Lou Lamoriello, and then they go with the whole front office shakeup. They get the first overall pick. They have a very nice draft, and makes them a little bit intriguing. So, and granted, that was probably his first choice. And I know there was a lot of articles that were saying out there, oh, Shabanov to the Flyers is basically a done deal. I didn't believe anything like that. You don't report on anything until something actually happens. And granted, there were some Flyers insiders that were saying, like, they're confident that Shabanov probably signs with the Flyers, and that's just the intel that they were getting. And the Flyers, they were saying they were cautiously optimistic about Shabanoff, and I'm sure they're very disappointed that he didn't choose the Flyers. At the end of the day, it is what it is. You got to move on and do something else. That's basically it. It's not make or break the offseason for Shabanoff. That's basically not it. A lot of intriguing things with development camp starting. Martone's comments were really interesting, so we'll see. We'll see. But we do have some voicemails here on the voicemail line and a text message, I believe, both from Zach. And then I'll get to some of you guys here in the chat. But let's go to this call right here from Zach, and then we'll get to you guys in the live feed.
Yo, what's up, Amadeo? Series victory for the Phillies. Can't complain about that. I guess we'll start with the bad. The loss today, and Mick, Abel just didn't look good. He looked pretty bad. Control was all over the place. He had, 5 walks or something like that, and not a whole lot of work. So, rough outing for the kid, and it just goes to show no matter how good your stuff is, like the major league's just a different animal for anybody. So, really need to get our guy Nola back. So that was bad, but happy with the way the second game went. And Cristopher Sanchez was dazzling out there, as he always is, it seems to be. Kepler, glad to see, because I was like, damn, they went down 1-0. Kepler gets it right back, gives them the lead. Costi had he added on there. I can't remember what the order was, but he added on, and that was nice to see with the little loop out the right field. And then Marshy with the nice jack to deep center. And nice to see him, only his third of the year. And, of course, he's missed time. But, yeah, it's not perfect. Of course, you got the report about Jose Alvarado working and all to get back. And that's great because you're absolutely going to need him in the second half of the season. But what really sucks is he's not going to be available in the postseason. So, Dave Dombrowski's absolutely going to have to go get 2 arms, righty and lefty. Felix Bautista, Aroldis Chapman. And what you got to give to get those guys, it's up to Dave. But you got to do it. So, glad they got the series win. On to the next. Go Phils. Peace.
Yeah, basically sums up what I think. We'll see what Dave Dombrowski does. We'll see. I'm not really confident. I'm sure he'll make moves, but I'm just not confident that he'll go big balls buying, because he hasn't done it so much in a Phillies front office, man. Just hasn't. So, basically in wait-and-see mode until I believe it. You know what I mean? Zach also texted in, totally forgot to mention that they had a little rally going in at the end in the first game, even though they came up short, plus Marsh's almost blunder, which can never happen. You always got to be conservative and give Kyle his chance to hit there to win it. Exactly. Man. It's crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff. Let's see. Is there anything else? Don't think there is anything else. Yeah, basically it. In terms of the Mets game, they're still winning 6-3 over the Brewers. Braves, they're beating the Angels 7-2. And we'll see where it goes. Phillies don't play tomorrow, so we probably won't have anything tomorrow bearing any type of breaking news. That's if the Phillies do anything, or if, say, the Flyers do anything or something like that. Or hell, even if the Eagles do something or something like that, we'll see. Obviously, this weekend is 4th of July weekend, so I'm probably not going to be doing a game-by-game recap of the Red Series. Probably going to save that to Sunday, so we could just all enjoy 4th of July weekend and everything like that. I do think I'm actually going to the game on Friday. I do have available tickets there, so I'll probably just head over there during the afternoon. It's actually going to be a pretty nice day on Friday. It's not going to be overly hot. It's like a normal temperature, I guess you could say, because of the oppressive fucking humidity that it's been for the past few days. Friday's actually going to be like 84 with a low of 68. So, pretty good stuff. And granted, my seats are normally in the shade whatsoever, so I won't have to worry about the sun. So, yeah, hopefully I can get a good product on Friday. Hopefully. So, we'll see. You guys in the chat right here. I don't know when YouTube started doing this top fans thing. That's weird. I don't know when they started doing this like XP thing, this top fans thing, like this leaderboard thing. I've been noticing it all today for some reason. It's weird. It is very weird. Franco saying that Mick Abel, I'm assuming, does not have a put away pitch. No, he does not. No, he does not. Every time he gets to 2 strikes, he struggles to get guys out. Abel run is over. That Arizona trade rumor, they need to jump on that. Please fucking include Rodas in any deal. What's the Arizona trade rumor? Was it the one for Suarez or something like that? The one for, what was it, like Eugenio Suarez or something? I forget. Was it from Al? I think let me see. Was it Alex Cole that brought that rumor up? Let me see. Let me find it. I remember him posting something about like Eugenio Suarez. Let me see. Yep, there it is. Hearing that the Phillies have had discussions about adding both Diamondbacks pitchers Shelby Miller and third baseman Eugenio Suarez in a package involving Mick Abel plus more. We'll see. So what would that mean if they trade for Suarez? Where would they put him? Obviously, he would play him at third base, but what does that do with Bohm? Would Bohm be going to Arizona? I know you bring in Suarez, that brings in Pop to your lineup. It's interesting. What's Shelby Miller's numbers on the year? What's his numbers on the year? Shelby Miller. 3-2 with a 2.1 ERA. Okay. He's a bullpen guy, right? Most likely a bullpen guy. He's 34 years old. Yeah, he's a bullpen guy. Having a really good season. 3-2, 2.10 ERA. 34 in the third innings, 39 strikeouts, a whip of under 1. 10 saves. Yeah, he's been good. He definitely would be a good addition. I wouldn't mind that. I know Eugenio Suarez has a lot of pop this year. He's batting .254, 26 home runs, 69. Yeah, that would be a definite right-handed power bat for this lineup that this team desperately needs. If Mick Abel is part of that package, I wouldn't mind it. Top 4 starting pitchers this season is going to be wasted unless something has changed majorly with this offense. Yep, 100%. Sanchez was great as per usual, but nothing he can do to soften the blow of the Shabanoff fail by the Flyers. I really can't blame the Flyers, Sean. The Flyers can't control what the guy's choosing. Every team was limited to giving him the same exact contract. 1 year, $950K, they can only give him an ELC. So I really don't blame him. As the fireworks get more crazier behind me. Braves are just dropping like flies. Yes, they are. It's a quarterfinal game, but it doesn't start till 9 p.m. Maybe they just didn't want the traffic like counteracting each other or something like that. Who knows? Harper's either going to be going back to DH or the outfield, I think. I feel like he would DH more than outfield because I feel like throwing the ball, isn't it his right wrist or something like that? I feel like that would bother him in the outfield, throwing the ball. Eating a cheesesteak with a fork sounds kind of counterintuitive. It definitely is very counterintuitive, especially you don't even eat the bread. The bread's like one of the best parts, especially with a good toasted seeded roll. It's a really good part of the cheesesteak. Flyers are saving money for a McDavid, hopefully. They definitely going to have a lot of cap space in the next offseason. Bohm is probably going to be gone if they do trade for Suarez. That would make sense. That would make sense if they trade for a third baseman. Unless that puts Bohm unless they bring in Suarez, he plays third base. They move Bohm to first. They put Bryce back in the outfield, or they put Bryce at DH. I don't know what they do. But we'll see. We'll see. But that definitely would be an interesting trade package. Obviously, the Arizona Diamondbacks, they're stuck in that gigantic heap that is the National League West, and they're very far behind. Yeah, they're 43 and 42. They're 10.5 games out. And in terms of the wild card, don't think they're that close to the wild card. No, they're kind of involved. They're 2.5 games out of the wild card, but they're just a mediocre team. They're a 500 team. So I think it's the same issues. Their starting pitching really hasn't been the best, and their bullpen probably hasn't been the best. Their offense is still good. They still score a lot of runs. Their pitching just can't keep up. It's basically the exact opposite of the Phillies. The exact opposite. Phillies really can't hit that much. Their bullpen does suck, but their starting pitching is just super elite. Are we taking things for granted? No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. Not going to say we're taking things for granted because we know our problems here. Oh, man. But that's probably where we'll end it off here, boys. Had to wait for Brodes most likely to do his recap on the series. So, yeah, you'll probably see that in a few. So that'll do it for today. Tomorrow, like I said, barring any breaking news, we probably won't do anything. And obviously for 4th of July weekend, we'll probably not do anything until the finale of the Phillies Red series. So we'll see where everything goes. We'll see. So appreciate you boys for tuning in tonight. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Do not forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK. Great deal. Do not pass it up. So appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight. If I don't see you before or during 4th of July, happy 4th of July for everyone, and I'll most likely see you on Sunday after the Phillies Reds finale. And